Humans always believed first contact would be poetic. Glittering starships, elegant ambassadors, and hopeful speeches about unity across the cosmos. Instead, humanity got the Kh'thol, towering, armor-plated warriors with serrated bone crests along their skulls, and a cultural fondness for mockery as a diplomatic strategy. Their arrival had been announced not with trumpets, but with a planetary broadcast hijacked in every nation simultaneously. A single Kh'thol warrior, Commander Yurak, appeared on screens, helmetless and expressionless, flanked by soldiers holding weapons that hummed like angry stars. Humans, Yurak rumbled, we come not as conquerors, nor as saviors, we come as examiners. It was later explained, in far more condescending detail, that humanity had reached the threshold for recognition, the point where a species becomes capable of leaving native gravity wells sustainably. According to galactic tradition, this meant the species must be evaluated, tested in a sense, before formal entry into the network of known civilizations. But most galling was this. The Kh'thol believed humans were myth-addled. You tell superstitions. Around fires, one alien diplomat scoffed publicly. Your societies are steered by folk tales. Even your science fiction is drenched in fantasy. No warrior race could emerge from such childish storytelling. Humanity bristled, protests erupted, social networks exploded with memes featuring aliens labeled galactic jerks. Still, the Kh'thol insisted. The evaluation would take 50 volunteers from around the world, placed into a controlled environment, where their beliefs, logic, and adaptability would be tested. Nia Calder, 27, exoanthropology graduate student and amateur mythologist, was one of them. She didn't join to prove humanity mature or logical. She joined because she wanted to face the universe head-on. And because she was tired of the Kh'thol's mockery. Part 1, the beginning, the arena of minds. The Kh'thol testing facility orbited Earth like a second moon. Shuttles carried the 50 volunteers upward while the world watched live. Cameras embedded in the volunteers' uniforms streamed every moment. Nia sat strapped into her shuttle seat listening to the deep rhythmic breathing of the Kh'thol escort troopers. They stood rigid, holding pulse spears that crackled with caged blue fire. Their armor bore symbols etched like claw marks. The humans, by contrast, shuffled and whispered nervously. "Think they'll make us fight something?" asked Jordan, a Canadian engineer beside Nia. They said evaluation of cognitive traits. "Probably puzzles," Nia replied. "Or they'll insult us until we cry," muttered Ava, a Nigerian epidemiologist in the next row. "Seems like their specialty." One of the Kh'thol snapped his head around. "We do not insult, we reveal truth." "Funny," Ava said under her breath. "That's what an insult sounds like." Nia smothered a grin. When the shuttle docked, the group was herded through corridors carved from metal that seemed to shimmer slightly, as if it remembered the forge. They eventually reached a colossal chamber, a circular hall with floating platforms suspended above a bottomless dark pit. The Kh'thol gathered around the perimeter while Commander Yurak stepped forward. "Humans, welcome to the arena of minds." The lights shifted. Holographic arrays crackled to life. "Your myths," Yurak continued, with visible distaste, "have shaped your behavior. They are illogical, dangerous, and impede the development of warrior clarity. To evaluate your mental maturity, we will confront you with simulations inspired by your own cultural fictions." Jordan gaped. "They're going to make us fight our own myths?" "Not fight," Yurak corrected. "Understand, disprove, overcome." Nia felt an electric thrill. She hadn't expected this. The first test began with a flicker. A giant serpent materialized. Scaled, horned, glowing red eyes, clearly inspired by global dragon folklore. It circled the floating platforms, spitting arcs of holographic flame. "Observe," one Kh'thol chided the humans, "another example of your fear-based imagination." "Fear-based?" Nia muttered. "Half of dragon myths are about wisdom and guardianship." "Tell that to the flame breath," Jordan replied, dodging a scorch of illusory heat. As the simulation intensified, the platforms shook and separated. Humans scrambled. Nia crouched low, thinking. The dragon wasn't attacking randomly, it reacted to movement, sound, and emotional spikes. Heart rate sensors in their suits likely fed into the program. "It's testing our panic response," Nia realized aloud. "Stay calm, stay still." Slowly she stood, hands open, and locked eyes with the beast. The dragon roared, but did not strike. Others noticed her success and followed suit. Heart rates dropped, fear receded. The dragon dissolved. Yurak stared at Nia. "Interesting," he said. "You understand your myths better than most of your kind." "They're not all about fear," Nia replied. "Many myths teach restraint, perspective, courage." The Kh'thol around the chamber murmured in disapproval. But Yurak's eyes narrowed, not with irritation, Nia thought, but contemplation. Part 2, The Middle, Stories that Echo in DNA. The trials continued for 3 days. Each challenge drew inspiration from human storytelling. Labyrinths like those of Greek legend, trickster puzzles echoing African folktales, cosmic judgment scenes akin to Tibetan afterlife myths. But instead of terrifying or confusing the volunteers, these simulations became collaborative arenas. Humans shared cultural knowledge, applying old narratives as problem-solving frameworks. Nia observed patterns, helping the group decode symbolic structures embedded in the tests. Kh'thol observers were baffled. How does a story about a fox tricking a king help you navigate a moral paradox trial? One warrior demanded. "Because myths teach pattern recognition," Nia explained. "They're compressed knowledge, warnings, strategies, social rules, encoded emotionally. They aren't childish, they're efficient." The warrior looked offended. Yurak, however, remained silent. On the 4th day, a particularly strange challenge began. The chamber dissolved into a barren desert beneath 2 suns. A colossal monolith rose ahead, engraved with human symbols, cuneiform, runes, Aztec glyphs, modern alphabets, layered across its surface. A riddle appeared in shifting golden text. "What is the first truth of sentient life?" The volunteers debated furiously. "Survival," Jordan argued. "Connection," Ava countered. "Curiosity," offered another. But Nia stepped forward, feeling something pulse beneath the words. The monolith wasn't asking for a biological answer. Its patterns felt familiar, like creation myths worldwide. "The first truth," Nia whispered, "is awareness. The moment a being recognizes itself, everything else, fear, hunger, love, thought, comes after." She spoke the word aloud. "Consciousness." The monolith glowed and shattered into stardust. A chime signaled the completion of the test. Yurak announced, "The evaluation proceeds, but the Commander Council has requested a private assessment for one among you." His eyes landed on Nia. "You come." The soldiers parted. A hush fell. Nia followed Yurak through winding metallic halls until they reached a private observation deck overlooking Earth, a blue-white marble hanging in darkness. "You navigate myth as if it is science," Yurak said. "Stories are data," Nia replied. "Just stored differently. You defend them fiercely, even when they reveal your species' fear, brutality, and confusion, because they reveal humanity's growth too." Yurak turned to her fully. His posture shifted subtly, not rigid warrior stance, but something more open, almost hesitant. With a low hum, he placed his palm against a scanner. The wall behind him dissolved, revealing a chamber lined with crystalline tablets. Images flickered across their surfaces, giant beast hunts, warrior rituals, celestial gods painted in glowing pigments. "Human-like figures, but clearly not human. These are your artifacts?" Nia breathed. "No," Yurak said softly. "They are myths. Kh'thol myths. From before we became what we are now." Nia blinked. "I thought you said myths were childish." "That is what we teach," Yurak admitted. "To appear strong, to avoid vulnerability." He approached one tablet, showing a colossal horned figure made of starlight. "Our ancestors believed we were forged from cosmic predators, that only strength defined worth. Those stories drove us to become warriors. But they also blinded us. We lost other paths, art, philosophy, introspection." He faced Nia again. "When we encountered other species, we mocked their narratives to hide our shame. We claim myth is weakness because we fear our own." Nia's breath caught. Then why test us using our stories? She asked. To see if humans are like us, shaped by myths into rigid simplicity. To see if you are bound by fear narratives or capable of transcending them. He paused. You surprised us. Nia swallowed, heart pounding. She realized something deeper was happening, something beyond diplomacy. You said earlier you come as examiners, she said. Is that true? Yurak hesitated. No. The word was almost painful for him to speak. We are searching, he continued quietly. Our culture stagnates. We have strength but lack direction. Our people believe another species might teach us what we lost before we destroy ourselves through ritual conflict. Some believe humans might be that species. Others believe humans are a cautionary mirror, too myth-dependent to evolve. And you? Nia asked. Yurak's eyes held ancient sorrow. I believe your stories hold answers ours never did. Part 3, the ending. Truth revealed. The final day of testing arrived. All 50 volunteers were led into a colossal amphitheater aboard the Kh'thol flagship. Thousands of alien observers filled tiered balconies, their armor glinting like serrated moons. Yurak stood at the center platform. This trial, he proclaimed, is the culmination. Humans, you will face an adversary inspired by your most destructive myths. The floor shook. A monstrous entity formed, shadow-made, horned, immense, an amalgamation of demons, apocalyptic beasts, and nightmare figures from dozens of human legends. It grew larger with every fear spike detected from the volunteers' suits. Ava cursed. Jordan backed away. Panic rippled. Nia stepped forward. This isn't a battle, she said loudly. It's a feedback loop. The more we fear it, the stronger it gets. The monster roared, feeding on their terror. Nia raised her voice so the cameras and the entire human world could hear. Every culture creates monsters to externalize fear. But myths also teach that monsters lose power when we recognize them as part of ourselves. They aren't separate. They're symbols. She turned to the volunteers. Don't fight it, don't flee. Accept it. Slowly, hesitantly, they did. Breathing steady, eyes open, no resistance. The creature faltered, its form flickered. Nia stepped closer until she stood directly before the towering nightmare. I know what you are, she whispered. You're fear-shaped into story. But I choose how the story ends. She reached out. Her palm touched its shadowy surface. The creature dissolved into dust. The amphitheater fell silent. Kh'thol warriors stiffened in disbelief. Yurak closed his eyes, exhaling a long, trembling breath. He stepped forward and raised his fist to his chest, a Kh'thol gesture of deepest respect. Humans, he announced, voice echoing, your evaluation is complete. He turned toward the thousands watching. Let it be recorded, humanity does not merely create myths. They understand them, conquer them, learn from them. They are not ruled by fear, they transform it. He faced Nia last. And let it be known, this human has reminded us why stories exist. A ripple passed through the cult crowd. First shock, then murmured agreement, then something entirely unexpected. Admiration. Yurak spoke again. From this day, humanity is recognized not as primitive, but as a culture of synthesis, one that unites logic and narrative. Your myths are not childish. They are your strength, and perhaps they may help us rediscover ours. Nia felt her throat tighten. You said earlier your people were searching, she murmured, for what you lost. Yurak nodded. We still are, but now we search with allies. The amphitheater lights dimmed. Holographic beams formed a spiraling emblem in the air, a new symbol, merging human mathematical patterns with Kh'thol warrior glyphs. The mark of shared truths, Yurak explained. Humanity erupted into celebration on global broadcasts. Media outlets called Nia the Mythbreaker. Diplomatic channels flooded with messages. Earth's cultures embraced the moment as proof that storytelling, far from primitive, was universal. Later, as the volunteers prepared to return home, Yurak approached Nia privately. You changed more today than you realize, he said softly. You reminded a warrior race that meaning does not only come from strength, and you reminded humans, Nia replied, that even the fiercest beings in the universe carry stories. Yurak tilted his head. Perhaps one day, human myths will speak of the Kh'thol differently. Maybe, she said with a smile. Maybe they'll tell the story of the alien warriors who mocked human myths. Until their commander spoke the truth. Yurok placed a massive hand over his heart. Until we met the one who understood them. And as Earth filled the viewport once more, glittering, fragile, radiant, Nia realized the universe had just become far larger, far stranger, and far more connected than any story had ever promised.